After the age of 40, many people experience a change that feels both frustrating and confusing. The number on the scale may not increase dramatically, but the body looks different. Fat begins to collect around the waist. The abdomen feels softer. Pants fit tighter, even when overall weight has barely changed. Many people respond by eating less, skipping meals, or cutting calories more aggressively, yet the belly fat remains. This leads to a common belief that something is wrong with willpower or discipline. But the truth is that belly fat after 40 is rarely caused by overeating alone. It is driven by biological shifts that change how the body stores and protects energy. One of the most important drivers is stress chemistry. Cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, plays a powerful role in fat distribution. After 40, cortisol levels tend to stay elevated longer in response to mental and emotional stress. The body interprets stress as a survival signal and responds by storing energy where it believes it can be accessed quickly. The abdominal area has a high concentration of cortisol receptors, which means stress preferentially directs fat storage to the belly. This is why people under chronic stress often gain abdominal fat, even when calorie intake does not increase. Another major factor is muscle loss. Muscle tissue is metabolically active and helps regulate blood sugar. As muscle gradually declines with age, the body's ability to absorb and use glucose efficiently decreases. This leads to higher insulin levels after meals, which signals the body to store excess energy as fat. Less muscle means fewer places to store glucose safely, so the body redirects into fat storage, especially around the abdomen. Insulin sensitivity also declines naturally with age. Cells become less responsive to insulin, meaning the body must release more insulin to manage the same amount of food. Higher insulin levels promote fat storage and make fat loss more difficult. Sleep disruption adds another layer. Even mild sleep loss increases hunger hormones, reduces satiety hormones, and increases cravings for quick energy foods. Sleep deprivation also raises cortisol, compounding stress-driven fat storage. Many adults after 40 sleep fewer deep restorative hours, even if total sleep time seems adequate. This hormonal imbalance quietly promotes belly fat accumulation. Inflammation is another hidden contributor. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases with age due to sedentary habits, processed foods, stress, and poor recovery. Inflammation alters how fat is stored and encourages accumulation around vital organs. Abdominal fat itself becomes inflammatory, creating a feedback loop that worsens metabolic health. Hormonal shifts also play a role. Changes in estrogen, testosterone, thyroid hormones, and growth hormone affect how fat is distributed and how efficiently energy is burned. These changes do not mean fat gain is inevitable, but they do mean the body responds differently to the same habits. The most important realization is that belly fat after 40 is not a failure of effort. It is a signal that the body is operating under stress, hormonal imbalance, and reduced metabolic efficiency. Chasing extreme diets often backfires because severe restriction increases cortisol and worsens muscle loss. The body becomes more defensive, holding on to fat even more tightly. Real change begins when the underlying signals are addressed rather than punished. In the next part, we will focus on the exact daily habits that lower cortisol, protect muscle, stabilize insulin, and allow the body to release abdominal fat naturally over time. Reducing belly fat after 40 requires a different approach than it did in your 20s. The goal is not aggressive restriction, but restoring the signals that tell the body it is safe to release stored energy. The first and most important habit is preserving and rebuilding muscle. Muscle is not just for strength or appearance. It is one of the most powerful metabolic organs in the body. When you maintain muscle, you improve insulin sensitivity, increase resting energy expenditure, and create a larger reservoir for glucose storage. Even 2 or 3 short strength sessions per week can shift the body away from fat storage and toward metabolic stability. The second habit is stabilizing blood sugar. Instead of focusing only on eating less, focus on eating smarter. Balanced meals that include protein, fiber, and healthy fats reduce glucose spikes and lower insulin demand. When insulin levels stay lower and more stable, the body becomes more capable of accessing stored fat. Large refined carbohydrate meals create strong spikes that promote abdominal storage, especially in midlife. The third habit is lowering chronic cortisol. Stress reduction is not optional for belly fat loss after 40. Daily calming routines, time outdoors, slower breathing, and reducing constant digital stimulation help the nervous system downshift. When cortisol remains high, the body continues to prioritize fat storage around the abdomen. Lowering stress chemistry is one of the most direct ways to change fat distribution over time. The fourth habit is improving sleep consistency. Sleep is a hormonal reset. Deep sleep supports appetite regulation, muscle repair, insulin sensitivity, and cortisol balance. Many people underestimate how strongly sleep affects abdominal fat. Protecting a consistent bedtime, reducing evening stimulation, and creating a calmer wind-down routine improves recovery and lowers fat storage signals. The fifth habit is reducing ultra-processed foods. Midlife metabolism is more sensitive to inflammatory inputs. Ultra-processed snacks, sugary drinks, and frequent refined foods increase inflammation and worsen insulin resistance. Whole foods, fiber-rich meals, and anti-inflammatory patterns support metabolic health and make fat loss more natural. The sixth habit is daily movement, not as punishment, but as metabolic signaling. Walking, light activity, and frequent movement breaks improve circulation, glucose uptake, and nervous system regulation. The body responds better to consistent daily movement than to rare extreme workouts. The seventh habit is avoiding extreme dieting. Severe calorie restriction often backfires after 40 because it increases cortisol, reduces thyroid output, and accelerates muscle loss. The body becomes more protective and resistant. Sustainable fat loss comes from consistency, not extremes. Small daily habits compound over months. The eighth habit is focusing on long-term rhythm. The body after 40 thrives on predictable patterns. Regular meal timing, consistent sleep, repeated movement, and stable recovery signals reduce metabolic chaos. When the body feels safe and stable, it becomes less defensive and more willing to release stored fat. The final takeaway is that belly fat is not just cosmetic. Abdominal fat is linked to metabolic health, cardiovascular risk, inflammation, and longevity. Addressing it is not about chasing a perfect appearance, but about supporting the systems that keep the body resilient. After 40, the most effective strategy is not doing more, but doing what works. Preserve muscle, stabilize blood sugar, lower stress, sleep deeply, reduce inflammation, and stay consistent. When these foundations are in place, belly fat decreases naturally over time, and health improves far beyond the waistline.